Wake up, goddammit. Welcome to MARKETcast with Unk and Market Monk. Morning, P. How was your week?
It was good. Tech got a little tricky for the overall trajectory on it, but one of the reads I had that worked out for me was that the cloud services that went up with Amazon were not going to hold that on Friday, and they didn't. For the most part, like MDB came all the way down, so there was a pretty, kind of an easy thing there. Dash moved a couple times for me. Didn't really get the sustained move, so I want to get your thoughts on that one. But oil was the big home run for me. Um, Oxy dipped 3% on earnings, came all the way back, like 6% move off lows. Um, so those oil plays are working. Still really liking some of the smaller exploration stocks and all that, but yeah, it's just about sector focus. If one sector or one stock does something we don't expect, we usually have a whole bag of stuff, and some of that's going to work better. Um, so I think our broad focus works really well. I mean, you're ready for what's going to happen, and so I think we just keep doing that.
Yeah, I had a decent start to the week. SoFi kind of scaled out of a little bit on that big pop. Our entry there was amazing with the CEO down there, the mid fives, and then kind of been sticking to the pennies, the smaller stocks for two reasons. There's a lot of volume in them. SDC worked out perfectly. A little higher entry than I liked, but that's kind of been the theme the last 2 months. You're not getting those very bottom entries. You're usually getting 5-10% higher or on a small pullback that isn't what you normally would get. You're just playing like a psych level. And then laser was another big win. It was a TA only, so I wasn't super big in it. But man, that thing completes that 6 to 750 channel like no other for some reason. And then I ran out of funds, and it was the first of the month.
Yeah.
So I played golf 2 days last week. Um, and then the market just kind of I just get lucky. I swear I'm not the days I take off. I mean, they're definitely not days I feel are going to be great, but I get lucky that those are just not good share side days. I mean, um, but the first of the month did kick in, and I'm kind of what we talked about last week. With the summer markets got to show up, volume's going to be important. Um, kind of seen the start of that in my opinion last week.
Yeah, I'm with you, and just you had some crazy moves and yell and a couple things like that. I did yell before the bankruptcy, like so it was
Yes, me too.
um and it was good. I mean, I don't remember the percentage, but it was close to 20. But I didn't really go back to it. I just don't like, especially the option side. Like I don't like things that could delist on you.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
the regional banks were like that. But I mean, if anyone's doing those moves, that are crazy. Tup is a little safer, I think, in that regard. Um, haven't really been messing with. I moved out on a couple spikes, but I pretty much just have that core position I bought that wasn't even close to the bottom, but was sort of like for us has to prove itself a bit. Then our levels get relevant, and that's when you get in. And I think that works better than there's lots of stuff you could just buy at 20 cents or 50 cents and wait, but it's safer to just let it establish itself first, I think.
Yeah, how many free shares did you end up with this? Did you get free shares?
Yeah, I did. So it was.
I'm glad you got them. I talk about free shares all the time, and this one, I mean, this is probably a home run of free shares. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah, like
uh,
500 left.
Jesus, oh, you still have 500?
Yeah,
Wow, I only
I had like.
had six to start with, and
Oh yeah.
but I've traded this twice and pretty much around that core. But
Mm.
I got rid of most of them. I didn't get seven though, but shout out to that 701 line on this chart.
Yeah, I exercised. I usually don't exercise options, but I did on that with
Oh,
like
nice.
1C. So that was how I got some of them.
I thought about selling calls against my position, but I'm
Yeah.
just not. Didn't feel like hanging out in it. There's really no news here. This is all just squeezy McSqueezerson, which if as soon as it breaks down, there's probably no coming back.
There's some of these bigger ones where I just got the levels down so well. Like I want to get to that point where I'm selling calls on. They're just a little expensive, but
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
like I mean like MSTR when that got into like the 440s, I just kind of saw the calls flipping bearish, and so the people who sold calls over 500 just absolutely made a killing on that because those are all going to zero. Um, so yeah, and that it's a little easier than the put side
Oh, for sure.
because I can see it starting to break down, but it's a little hard. It's kind of harder to time that. But yeah, crypto that's kind of another story that we should get into.
Well, on the main point of this topic is what you were saying, and I definitely want to stress that because that's I don't want to say that's what people pay for, but it's part of it. Is the I mean the yell and the tup and the shout out SDC this week.
Yeah,
Real ones know who was first on that. Um, those ones like there's three there. The obviously the hottest one is the yell, but there's a reason we're staying away from it, and you have two other options. And they actually have levels, and they're just easier to trade. And most people like kind of just are bugs to lights. And if you went to the
yeah.
wrong light on that one, yeah, you could wake up one morning like you're saying and be delisted. So
Yeah, and also too, like there's like the cliche is don't chase, don't chase. I think there are things that you buy when they're going up. It's not the same as chasing. QS, the people buying QS at 13, that was chasing, and we were way out of it by then. And I brought it up on Twitter. I got people getting mad at me a little bit. That's fine. That's why I'm saying it. I want them to. But the we've seen that so many times with that particular stock. It's going to give you one good move, maybe 2 days of it, and then it's going to give it all back. And it actually right now looks like Faraday to me a little bit. I don't know how far down this is going to go, but it's just flat out like collapsing. So we there are stocks like we like, but we don't like them all the time. And our approach to it, you get your move, you get out. I'll like it again at $6 or $7 or something like that. So
crappy stocks help me to be honest with you.
yeah,
Let's just use QS and SQ. Y'all know how I
yep,
feel about Square. I mean, I'm in love with Square. We know that it's hard for me to be a trader on Square. This thing I have not. If this thing gives me $1,000, I just say thank you like an old lady walked up and gave me $1,000 on the street. Not my grandma, which I care about.
yeah,
I don't care about the old lady. I just take her money. My grandma tried to give me some money. I'm like, hold on, let's just wait. Let's put that in the bank. I'll get
yeah,
that. It's a different mentality. So crappy stocks actually, I learned that early on in day trading. Like,
yeah,
don't get if you are emotionally tied in. I like the car. They're coming out with a new one. This is going to be great, world changing. Be careful. Don't.
yeah,
That's not stuff you day trade. I mean, invest in that. Go back to work and put more in. Like I say, yeah, do that. But that big stuff that you like, DraftKings is probably one of them for me. P. Like I should have day traded the crap out of DraftKings, and I don't
yeah.
because I believe in it.
Right, right.
So I just have my piece, and it's over there. And of course, it's not enough. It never is. It'll never be enough. But I'll tell you guys that right now. No matter how much you buy, when it goes up a decent percentage, it will never be enough. And that's just the way it is. So in a day trading platform, you find stuff you don't care about that still has a catalyst, but I mean, we had a catalyst on QS, and just take your money, just take your
Yeah.
money and move on. And that's helping your psychology and knowing the stock psychology.
Yeah, and I think I think we're on the same page on DraftKings that whatever the future of pro sports is with in college too. I mean, with all the like the gambling built into it and all that stuff, like they're a big part of it. They're probably the best at it, and they're like the household name. So, they'll be around, and any laws that change are going to be favorable
Yeah.
to them and all
Well,
that. So,
that's the linchpin
um,
for me is the market share.
yeah,
Is they only
yeah,
have like 30% of market share right now, and they
right,
are available market share, and they have like 80% of that share easy. So I
yeah,
mean, they're gonna just continue to grow. But yeah, totally different topic.
yeah.
Totally different topic. Let's get into the good ones for this week. I want to talk about. I mean, do we talk about ERs first or boring stuff?
Um,
What do you want
yeah,
to
no,
do?
ERs are good. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay. Um, there's a lot of still like names this week. Roblox, Disney, Lucid Rivian definitely going to be in the EV sector. Then Baba for China. So you still have like these kind of leaders this week. Um, Twitter's going to be trading those, not us. That's how I see that. There's some
Yeah.
way better fish out in the sea. I mean, you went through my list. I went through yours. I think we're both on the same the path there. That there's still a lot in the ER game. Um, but overall market probably going to be sideways. Um, some very good ER reports are going to be what makes the week. Are you seeing that way, or you got something a little
Uh,
different?
yes, yeah, I am, and I do, I kind of move towards the kind of the more under the radar stuff. I had one midweek last week, Tempur-Pedic
Yeah,
mattress
yeah.
like made a big move, and then the options making like an oversized move compared to the percentage just because the IV was low. But yeah, the people trying to train Disney through ER. That's just crazy to me because um, it could go up 3%, then down 2%, open flat, whatever. I think you're in a good spot if you're just adding it here. Um, that might be a go back to work kind of stock to me because I think it
Hmm.
could take a while. Disney does have some. I don't know if I'd call it brand destruction, but they have kind of an image problem right now with some of their core audience that I think's holding them back. But yeah, so I'm looking at stuff like Twillo. I want no part of AMC. I think they report this week. I have no idea what's going on with them, but um, Duolingo and Chegg are the ones that look the best to me.
Oh,
Stand,
interesting. I
here
would
we go
definitely
into it.
get into that for sure.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of just obscure crap, um, but a lot of them report and they're still beat up. And I mean that's the total. If you watch Read the Room, that was the total angle of it. Um, because if you just look how ER reports have been, um, keeping the lights on is very important. But if you're doing good, your charts beat down, you're in for a good quarter just on a report. Where like Roblox, it's all about the money, and they they don't really care about that. Like they like to reinvest in themselves. Their business is
Yeah.
fine, and investors hate it. So I mean, that's always been the struggle there, and I just know. I mean, they don't need their stock price up, and that's always been their problem. Same with Disney. Like Disney, they don't really care. Disney's not Facebook. They're not trying to pad employees' pensions with their stock, so the
Right.
stock
Yeah.
price doesn't matter to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Roblox probably fair comparison would be PLTR, and PLTR no one knew that was going to happen, but they finally made. I don't want to say juke their numbers because the numbers have always been there. It's just how they spend their money, right?
Yeah.
They finally started being profitable in a way shareholders like, and you see what happened with them. And someday that will happen with Roblox, but again, there's just better fish in the sea this week for sure.
Definitely, and I think too on the earnings, big lesson from last week, and I mean it's nothing new, but I mean shares are better. Like you're not going to get the big 1,000% on shares, but just a couple examples. Coin went up 10% initially on that earnings release.
Hmm.
Um, their volume, I think, their trading volume is what killed them, and brought it back down. Plus, Bitcoin's kind of not great right now. But like if you had shares going into those earnings, you sell on the way up on that 10%. The options don't matter. You do the options the next day. That's what you do. Dash went up 10%. I sold a bunch of shares on that I had left. And then the options were good Thursday, Friday. So I just think that's better because even if it's $30 or $50, it's still frustrating for that to go to zero. So I don't know why people really mess with that when you can just do it the next day. Cat was a good example. Cat went crazy the day after. Yeah, the stuff you bought the night before did well, but you just have more control over it if you just wait. And that's a big theme in option trading in general. I think is just wait. Secondary moves, like don't chase those big moves early. It will come back, or if it's gonna hit resistance and break down, the other side's better. So that's something I'm gonna try to keep expressing in my notes. And just another thing on that, real quick. This is just like a room thing. A lot of people like when they ask me about the wrong stocks, and not that there's any bad questions, but if something like Cat moved 10%, we're gonna have to wait to get back into that. So if you're asking like, what do you think of Cat? I think it made a great move, and we traded it 2 days ago, and now it's got to cool down. And even if it doesn't cool down, let it get up to a level and consolidate for a bit, and then we'll figure it out. But you don't want to chase big moves on stuff. So the question should be, what's the next one? Not what about this one we just did?
Yeah, when I think about value, I think that's what he figured out. Just that in
Yeah.
general, right there. Like, if it's already moved, just what are they talking about that hasn't? Um, he,
Yeah, exactly.
and
And that's our whole sector focus is built for that. Because if steel and copper have a couple quiet days and tech's just going crazy, there might be an opportunity there. Oil, you know, if some of those go down on earnings and the overall outlook's bullish on them, there's a big opportunity there. So that's part of what we try to do as well.
Cat's a great example. Like, I remember that came up. I think was it last week that came up? And
Yeah,
I was like, man, it's 205. Like, I instantly just think of my level, right? Like,
yeah, yeah.
what are we even doing up here? Like, it's,
You're right.
um, and then, and I think the point that gets lost in that is the, like you're saying, what we offer is the safe trade. The continuation is tradable 100%, but it's a different kind of skill set and it's not safe, I guess, lack of better terms too. Um,
Yeah,
and you can trade anything depending on your skill set. Your skill set should line up with what you're trading. So, and those scalp trades or 15-minute trades or whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to call them, those those should depend on your skill set. So like calling those out to people is irrelevant because my skill set's totally different than your skill set, and then the greed comes into it as well. Like you shouldn't be scalping if you're a greedy person. You got to learn to take a sandwich money. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, if we're gonna talk about cat with what we offer, it's 205. If not, you should have been talking about it probably since what, April,
Um,
May. It should have been on
yeah,
your radar every day
yeah,
because it's been going up.
and on the option side, like this is where local pivots come in, and like Boeing, for example, it got a little tricky once it got over 200, but after a while, I was seeing, like I'm like 210. All right, 210's a spot where you can trade this, and then it took off and went to 240, and now I'm kind of like, well, let's see what 230 does, and that might that might work, but again, that's like when I had someone ask me, after like Dash made a move up about 3% on Friday, came back down. I had someone ask me, is Dash still good? The only thing that worries me about that question is, did you hold through that drop? Like, did you buy it early? It went up, and now you're holding it red? Because people do that, who don't really understand options, and that's not how you do it. So, so that that's a different conversation. Yes, I still like Dash. I wouldn't like it if I, bought something for next week and it went 30% green and now it's 40% red. Like, I wouldn't like that position. But I like, I like the stock. But you have to just know the character of it. You can't just buy it and say like, I think this is going to go to 100. I'm going to just hold on to these. Um, that's not really the character of that stock in particular,
So
especially after earnings when it's all chaotic.
here's my, and I think it's underrated, um, or miss. I think it's a missed principle that a lot of people in the option games just don't understand. Because we're only so smart. And I'm gonna use you because you're probably one of the smartest option people I know. Most people in the room probably gonna believe that. So it's just gonna help them that you fail this
Yeah.
test. That you fail this test.
Yeah.
Um, so I need 3 second answers, and it's gonna just be prices. So coin September calls at the money right now. What are they?
Um,
One, two, three. Exactly.
yeah,
What's Oxy October at the money calls right now? What are they? Oxy. One, two,
they're $113.
three. Okay, so we got one. AMC's next week's. What are they at the money? One, two, three. Exactly. See, so you
Yeah.
don't know prices.
Right.
You don't know price. You have to be, and that's what I mean if you've traded it the whole time. Because if you've
Yeah.
traded, we're talking about Boeing here. If you started trading Boeing at that first move, you know the prices while you're in it because you've watched them every day. And that is
Yeah.
so important to know the history of it. And I do that with share side, but though I got one price and it's pretty consistent, right? You are
Yeah.
adding a multiple of let's say 30x to each stock at minimum. And that's
Yeah.
hard to do, and that's why you guys need to focus on
Right.
that
Right.
because you're the best person I know and you can't give me the ones that you trade regularly, right? Because
Okay, yeah, because you asked a perfect one that's difficult, which is coin, because number one, the stock is cheaper now, so the options are down. We're through ER, so the IV came down. So
yeah,
the
so if I go to
Mhm.
Florida for a week,
You could figure there. Oxy I knew because Oxy doesn't really change. So and one by the way, that's one that people really need to focus on if they're new
I don't
or
think
if they're experienced or whatever. Maybe the best levels that of anything in this room for an option side is probably Oxy. Um, so yeah, I keep trying to highlight that one. Twillo's been good too, but yeah, no, I completely get
no,
what you're
I
putting.
didn't. I didn't pick them randomly there, and
Yeah,
I can go to Florida for a week or 10 days, and the stock prices I'm still gonna know when I get back. If you take
right.
10 days off or 3 days off from an option, that field has completely changed. The
Yeah,
field is, especially with the ones like Coin or Tesla or Apple or anything big at this point. AMC, all those guys. And that's another point I want, a little, not much of a rant, but something I wanted to say about Twitter because I'm noticing it. But a lot of these cats out here been giving you 100, 300% plays for 2 years, right? Like they post it
yeah,
every day. They post it every day. They moving back in with mom. They hanging it up. So what percentage would have made these guys comfortable? You know what I mean? And you got to
yeah,
look
yeah.
at it. You need the same thing. You're going to need the same thing. I have legit preached 10% to everybody since we started this.
Yep.
So if I hope people can see that when people like post these, because it bothers me probably as much as it bothers you, just 200, 250, and that's all you see on the little Weeble percent tag. You see
Uh,
that, but
yeah,
then
yeah. I had this on X. I posted it in a room that and I said like with all due respect, and then the next thing that comes after that is disrespect usually. But I mean, telling me like X has no range. Like it's a bad idea to tell people to trade X. When my point was, if you're new and you're learning, you want to get something that's not going to just wreck you in 15 minutes because people just freeze and they just
mhm.
stare at the position just, just tanking. X isn't really going to do that to you, and they do move well, and he said these options don't move, and I posted something from my notes that went from $100 to 190 the next day. How is that not enough? What world do you live in where that's not good enough? And even if you didn't get the full thing, 100 to 150, in a few
Well,
hours.
there's just no compound in those people. They eat. Everybody is different, so everyone has a number in their head, and it might be 200, it might be 500. That's
Yeah,
the minimum for the trade to be a good trade in their head,
yeah,
they won't take the $30 and $50. Oh, this ain't going my way. I better get out and move on to the next trades.
right.
They won't do that, and they end up losing four that way. But they do get the 500 every now and again, and it kind of averages out. And they're up and down like most traders are,
Yeah,
and need to knock it off. And they promoting it as a way to win because I'm over here, like I said, 10%, right? So when we're
yeah.
banging out 30s and 25s and 50s, right? That's 5x. That's 500 to my system. But I don't teach. I don't promote it that way, I guess. But I mean, that really is, and I think that's just That's how you create longevity in here.
Well, it's just to me the people who call themselves like it's education, who clearly aren't educators and don't know how to teach anything. Like as someone who is a teacher, is a professor, that bugs me. Where I'm like, there's no curriculum here. Your curriculum is to take the riskiest stuff that already made a move, draw a couple shapes on a chart, and say like, you know, YOLO, let's get it. I mean that's your teaching, and that's not teaching anything. So yeah, I do, and they have more followers than me, and whatever. That's fine, but
Well, they're better than you. They're better than you at social media. We've established
sure,
that.
yeah,
We
yeah,
established
right,
that.
yeah, no, that's fine. And there's I try to get better at social media. There's limits on what I'm willing to do that. I mean, I'm fine with just doing our thing to some extent, but
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I make money trading, so I don't really fucking care. Sorry, P, but I love working with you, and I love helping people that want to learn. I like value, man. He's probably bought me another, a year credit of not being like frustrated with this, just like how much he's learned. Um,
yeah, no, definitely, yeah,
the only thing stopping that guy is greed, and that's easy to solve. Like you
yeah,
just need someone to look you in the face and say, "Don't be fucking stupid." Um, um, let's talk about some boring stuff. We're here
yeah,
bitching about these kids all the time. Um, it's the summer. You're not supposed to be thinking about kids when you don't have class.
right, right.
Silver or solar? I know we're both kind of. It's funny. We're both thinking the same thing in that with the notes.
Yeah, so silver, I think ever in silver, um, you just got to be ready for the flash crash. That's kind of the thing in silver, but it comes back from that. Still over 2350. I think silver makes a move um, over 25, gets to 28 and challenges that level. What that means for the stocks, all you got to do is just look at the strikes on them. Like months out, you're talking about AG getting back to like $8, $9, $10. Map that on to whatever one you want. Some are better than others. You kind of look for the ones that took kind of an oversized drop, and whatever the reason was, a lot of them are the expenses of their mines, or relationships with governments or whatever. You get to a point where like silver starts moving and none of that crap really matters because it's just going to move with the price of the asset. So yeah, we have a lot of good setups there. It's pretty safe. I don't mess with weeklies on those. I think you just get as much time as you can, as close to the money as you can, or you can buy those things called shares and just sort of go from there. To me, that's the best swing setup. Silver.
Yeah, it's just funny that we're both on that one. I you're like the Tom Brokaw, right? Like you're behind the desk with the suit on, reading all the technical stuff, and I'm like the guy at the yard sale. You can look. It's just cheap right now, guys. You can
Yeah.
buy it for $1, sell it for two. A
Yeah.
lot of it, I have levels that we've drawn since we've been together on the silver gold material charts. Those ones, for some reason, are all just really on support. It's kind of odd. Um, I noticed that, and then the flow kind of lines up with a move north. That's why I trade it. It's that simple. Um, there's not. It's just funny how we are. I mean, you're just so technical, and I'm just so. Um, I don't know. I don't know how you want to put it. I don't want to say trashy, but I'm just so basic, and you're so technical. But yeah, they're on support, guys.
Yeah.
Solar though, solar's the other way. Solar's beat to crap. I don't
Well,
like it. I think we're on the opposite end here. Mine purely from a TA and I mean a little bit on that. I don't like the tax credit system that really promotes solar right now. I don't think it's beneficial for many people. Um,
well,
but the
um,
charts suck. So
the yeah. Let me go. I'll go through my my thinking on this a bit. So the guidance is really poor on a lot of these that came out, and Solar Edge was the latest one to do that, and I had posted that we get a little bit of a rebound on it, and we did, and then it broke back down lower, and that's the same thing that Enphase did, and I think we're a little bit on the same page that I do think Enphase is going to break down further. Uh, I don't know about 110, but 120 is sort of what I'm looking at. But that being said, I think there are going to be some shorter term bounces here, and if you look at what Enphase has been doing, just as a stock to like trade on the option side, um, these weeklies at 145 and 150 very well could do fine, and then they knock it back down. So I'm looking for some short term relief, but big picture, I think you're probably right. Although kind of like crypto, I think the smaller caps are in a little better shape than the bigger ones. That would sort of be
yeah,
my
I
take.
I kind of got a little cheat code on solar because back in the day when I was a learning, there was this like a PDF that used to go around, and it would have like all the alternate energy stocks. So it would have like all the EV stuff on it, and
Yeah.
that. So my love for that sector kind of got me into that alternate energy sector. So I've always kind of like watched them, but those have always been the ones I haven't really liked. To be honest with you, I haven't really been a big fan of solar. I mean, I'm biased there. Um, Even though I just wish the system would be a little better, so they could be a little more, not profitable, but well. Every house had solar panels, or let's say half the houses had solar panels. These would be really profitable companies, but that's not the case. Go look outside. I'm in Washington. It's like 1 out of 70, and that's being
Right.
nice.
Yeah.
Like that's being nice. So I gave you the good one though. Voice chat knows FSLR. Um, TA wins sometimes.
Yeah. No. Definitely. And that I posted that on my
Yeah, I seen it. That was perfect.
Friday note
Yeah.
for it's gonna make a move towards 200, and then it gave that up.
Yep.
So we're 194. Probably could go flush to 190, but it's just gonna have range. That one is not gonna just break straight down. Um, I'm on them tentatively. I'm not gonna put any in the top 10. I just think that there is some whale positioning here, especially out to January, that shows them retracing some of those losses. But I think one thing about solar is it is a little bit detached from the broader market in both directions. Enphase was moving way up while the market was trash, and now it's breaking down while the market's been good. So it's not an inverse, but it has its own character. So we'll stay on them. I think my read is better short term than long term on them. So
Sure. Sure.
I'm kind of just looking at where they're going to retrace, and there's some trades there, but yeah, I wouldn't. Enphase is not good share side right now. So we'll wait for your a little closer to your spot on that.
I mean, kind of not on topic, but not in. I don't know how to put it, but when I'll really be bullish on solar is when the home builders start adding it in their part of their project. Like you can get new houses with solar panels, and
Oh, right, right.
that's
Yeah.
still not even a thing, right? Like, and it should
No,
be.
no.
And like as soon as that happens, then I'll be really bullish on solar.
So yeah, like in Oklahoma, you get like a builder will build a whole neighborhood at the same time
Mm-hmm.
before anyone even buys the houses,
Yep.
right? You know,
Yep.
they and so yeah, if like solar were on your little checklist of options on that, like I see what you're saying there.
Yeah. You know how they? You know what they? So they build the whole neighborhood and then sell them.
Yeah.
You know what they do out here?
What's that?
So they build the first one, right, and put an office in it, and then they build the second one, and it's sold as soon as like the driveway's done.
Yeah.
And like they're building them, people are moving in, like one at a
Oh yeah.
time. Like it's as soon as it's done, they're moving in. And but the first one is always the office, and then they sell
Yeah.
that at the very end. They sell it at the end.
Right. It's kind of like buying the floor model TV. Like it's
Open box, open box.
right.
Um, oh yeah, let me say that because I don't want to forget it in this session, and then we'll talk a little bit about SPY and CP, all the three-letter words. Um,
Yeah.
a little 30-second rant. Um, I felt real bad last week because you brought it to my attention about the share size and account size thing,
Yeah.
right? So I was like, man, yeah, he's right. I kind of should think about. But isn't there stuff like Robinhood and Webull where you can get fractional shares?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't feel bad anymore.
Well, and that was actually that was part of my point with the 80/20 thing. I figured it out. Maybe I won't say figured it out. I knew about it, but I decided to do it because even the like the UNH and all them, they're actually making a decent percentage
Yes.
in the underlying. So I just buy some, with that. Like, so if I don't care that the shares are $500, whatever, it's just an amount. So my option on this is, $400. Okay, I'm gonna make that's my 20%, and then 80% just do shares and just keep them for as long as I want to keep them. But that yeah, the fractional share thing makes that side of it a lot easier for sure.
Yeah, no, I forgot who it was. I mean, I know who it was. It was vegan. I forgot what stock it was, but he had some shares. I think it was Tough even. He had some shares in a Robinhood account, and he's like, "Oh, I'm up 100%."
Yeah.
And I mean, that's yeah, just get even if you got. I normally don't advocate for it, but if you got to have a couple accounts to do it, put a little bit of money in shares. If you don't want to go 80/20 to start off, how about 50/50 and get back to me in 3 months and tell me which one is more lucrative. Um, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and the shares help psychologically because you can see big picture a move that's likely to happen, but there's going to be pullbacks during that move, and the options you can't really keep those on the pullbacks. You don't exactly know that it's going to keep going up, but with the shares give you a lot more room to plan out and weather that and everything, and you can just re-enter the options if you want to. But yeah, that's definitely something to look into, I think, for people is those fractional shares.
difference between shares and options is like playing a basketball game with a clock versus playing
Yeah,
to a score.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you don't like the clock ticking on you and you just want to play to 21, it'll get there when it will get there. Buy the shares. APA is a good example. We knew it was going to 40. We just
yep.
we just give it some time. Oh look, 42. Imagine
How
that.
about Dino?
Which one?
60 Dino?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Exactly,
that
exactly.
one. Crazy.
Um, let's do spy real quick. So
Oh, real quick on copper.
go for it.
Uh, Still good to go. We're still above 375, 386. Got rejected at 4. That's kind of to be expected, but that's what it's going to keep testing. So that's
Yeah,
kind of why I got back into copper this week. I just think it. showing
Copper's
some strength there.
Copper's stuck at 4 for a while, in my opinion, just on a psychological arc.
Uh,
If it breaks 4,
yeah,
all
but
hands on
the thing
deck.
is, it can be stuck at 4, and the stocks can go up.
Okay,
Yeah, the point is the overall uh, strength of the sector is there and stable, and then the stocks have room to run as long as the copper is not falling, basically.
perfect, perfect. So Spy, we kind of Bob Barkered last week. You were 62, I was 61 on the top. You
Yep.
were 52, I was 50 on the bottom. I would have nailed the bottom without Friday. We were a couple dollars off on the top. Big pullback on Friday, farther than expected. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened last week. But
Yeah, and I think it just my thinking on Apple. So what I thought was going to happen, thought have some disappointing results. I thought it would get bought back up more and finish flat. Went the other way. I didn't trade it or anything, but that obviously is kind of the big market thing. Market got kind of lucky that Amazon was so good because if it hadn't been, you would have been looking at probably 2% down on Friday for SPY, more in QQQ. So that kind of saved the day. Saved the day there. None of this is like a character regime change or whatever. But there's a pretty good chance we kind of go sideways this week to me.
yeah, we said that. Oh, on Spy, yeah, so that last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Apple, I had wrong because I didn't see it getting this high, so I'm not going to say I'm right that it's pulling back, but it was overextended. I will say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I can't believe it got that high. To be honest with you, Spy though, yeah, we kind of said that last week. We were looking for sideways. I just didn't see this much selling, and it was all Friday because of the big names. So I do think we get some of that back. Um, if we would have stayed on 50, I'd have took the dub. But I got a call last week a tie.
Yeah.
Really do, really do. So I'm gonna let you go first if you got numbers.
Yeah, sure. Let me see here.
I know this top is gonna be a problem.
All right, so I I'm gonna give you my numbers for the week, and then after yours, I got a few things to say about it,
Okay.
kind of longer term.
Okay.
But in kind of the immediate future here, looking at, I'm gonna say 453 top and 443 to the downside.
Damn it. um, yeah, I was gonna be real close to that to be honest.
Oh.
Um, yeah, because I don't. Well, my thing is I think where we were at Friday, we're not gonna get back above that. So 51 or 53 in that
Yeah.
range on the top. Um, so I'm gonna go 51 just to get a couple. I'll take the lower part of that, and then on the bottom, um, I think it is more sideways, and I don't think we can break down. Um, where's that? Yeah, back below this. So that was 44. That one's 44. So yeah, 44. So I guess I'm gonna inside you. I'm gonna go 444 on the down.
Nice. Yeah, mine. I wasn't even looking at the chart. It's just the option strikes. So it's funny how that lines up.
Yeah, that's the point of this, right? And that what we've been
Yeah,
doing the
yeah,
last year and a half here.
yeah. It's sort of like it's kind of where the options and TA, the way they work together, um, is it's not 50-50. Like it's some stocks are gonna rely more on the options, or the TA is gonna just close the door on something they're trying to do with options, whatever. SPY's a little more mixed. I mean, you got massive volume, but there's definitely a concentration of options around some of um, these key spots there. Now, what I wanted to say with the chains with the highest open interest, the top 20 chains with the highest open interest are all puts,
Sure.
and a lot of them are sold puts or leaning that way. So that's kind of it's bullish in a sense. It's not bullish in a way that's gonna push us a lot higher. But it's just you kind of just keep stacking up these floors, and the out of the money stuff, like a month out, is has been leaning more and more bullish, kind of as we go up. So you've got like 915, 430 p. That's not an outlandish strike. It's 16 points from here over a month from like 6 weeks from now. And it's trading at $361, 152,000 open interest, the second largest contract. That went from about 80-90% bearish to 50-50 right now. So the longer term stuff like that's something I'm looking at. I'm looking for them to keep moving the floor up a bit. But we will see some pretty decent pullbacks over the next few weeks, I think. I don't think we're just gonna go parabolic and break higher. You kind of you need a reason. So what would the reason be? We're through Apple earnings and Microsoft and all them. So what do you see as like the potential catalyst coming up?
War. Good God. What is it good for? Absolutely
Yeah.
nothing, nothing. Sing it again now, war. And I think that's going to finally show the true light. I grew up in the 90s as you did, so let me refresh these kids that we used to read these things called newspapers. They came
Right.
like some dude threw them in your yard and you would get them, and that's how you would get your information. You didn't have a phone or anything like that. It was on the wall at home. Your sister was using it. Like, so there was really no way to no screen on it. You couldn't type in it, like, not like that. Um, so what through progression, we got this thing called a TV, and it was just a box with a picture on it. And in the 90s, we had this war with Iraq, and they showed this war 24/7 prime
Yep.
time all day like it was pay per view. Night vision goggle scenes. You got the jet. You was flying with the jets. You was hanging out outside of town watching it blow up. You was interrogating people at gunpoint. It was a really good show. It was better than the OJ trial. That's another topic. That's a totally another topic. We've had this war, and to make this a long story short, we got to this war in Ukraine, and you ain't seen nothing. Why? Because we ain't winning. But what's coming out is that the sanctions we're putting on them, which I posted today, we also ain't winning there. And you can't hide money losing. You can't hide people losing money or not winning on that side. We've talked about it with BRICS for a while. So I think we're going to have to pivot that as it becomes an election topic. They're going to have to share that up because he just did it with his granddaughter, right? Like
Yep.
he took care of that. He's gonna have to address this issue, and um, I think Zelensky and them got their money by now. So what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I think that's a good point.
I mean,
Definitely.
I don't think they can run in the war and win, no matter who runs, no matter who it
Right.
is.
Yeah.
And would it be a very weird scene if they didn't run Biden, they ran someone else, and that person was like, "We got to end the war in Ukraine." I just don't see that being a. How does that work? I don't know.
No, and we've already seen that they'll just let a war go on, like Afghanistan, before it finally became a thing. Like, let's just get them out of there.
Yeah, but we're
Um,
not even talking right now, right? So even
right.
that would be the positive catalyst that we're negotiating and we have a ceasefire, right? Not, I mean, we could still
Yeah.
have all that, but just that we're not droning Moscow or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
um, CPI, PPI this week. Um, where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10 on that? It's Thursday, Friday, but on that being relevant in the long run.
Uh, I'm about like a 2 or 3 on it being relevant
Okay.
in the long term. It's sort of the market kind of shrugs it off. That's sort of been the thing lately. So I think that'll probably
Yeah, I think you just it creates that cloud for a bad day. You know, it's like the one rainstorm on the one hole during your golf round. Doesn't ruin the round, but it's bad when it happens. So whoever's reporting there or any kind of catalyst there is just not going to get the effect. They kind of get shunned because they're in that window. Other than that, I'm with
Yeah,
you.
that was we had that with AMD and the credit downgrade
Yep.
where people were like, what's going on with AMD? Why is AMD tanking?
Bad timing.
You could hear it in their voice that they had calls through earnings, and they're just mad that that happened. But just another example of why the next day is really really better on those options plays.
Exactly. All righty, sir. You ready to get to work?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.